Phishing today is mostly conducted by email, although automated phone calls and text messages are two other ways that criminals attempt to deceive people into handing over their personal information. But the most prolific of these channels is email, since it takes very little effort for a criminal to deploy tens of thousands of phishing emails. This email is a phishing attempt from criminals portraying to be from Microsoft, informing the individual that there has been an unusual activity in their account. At a quick glance, it appears legitimate enough for someone to click on the link if they weren't paying attention to some of the red flags that could raise their suspicion. Oftentimes, phishing emails are filled with grammatical and spelling errors, or that the email address doesn't appear legit. Now, in this case, the email address is an Outlook account, which is a real Microsoft service, but anyone can create an Outlook email address. And any messages coming directly from Microsoft are likely to come from an email address that ends with @microsoft.com. This phishing message, claiming to be from PayPal, also uses an Outlook address, but any legitimate messages from PayPal should come from a PayPal email address. Another way to spot a phishing attempt is to look at the web address of any links it's asking you to click on without clicking on the link. And the way to do that is to hover your mouse over the link and look at the address that pops up on the bottom left side of your page. Here's a legitimate email from Zoom. When I hover over the link, I can see that it wants to take me to Zoom's sign-in page. Now have a look at this phishing email, attempting to appear as though it's coming from Zoom. When I hover my mouse over the link, I can see this gnarly web address that just doesn't look right. Fortunately, your IT people and your email account does a remarkable job at filtering out these types of emails while still allowing legitimate emails to get through. Gmail blocks more than 100 million malicious emails every single day. But these systems are not perfect, and the odd phishing email still gets through to your inbox. So here's what you should know about how to spot phishing attempts so that you don't take their bait. Be cautious of emails from unknown senders, names or email addresses that you don't recognize. Watch for email addresses that don't quite match the company that the emailer is claiming to represent. Look for spelling and grammatical errors. It's something you might expect to see from informal emails, but legitimate emails sent out by legitimate organizations typically have very few, if any, spelling or grammatical errors. If you see a poorly written email on behalf of an organization, it should be an automatic red flag. Emails asking for your personal information should also be an immediate red flag, although it's more common that a phishing email will first direct you to a website before asking you for your personal information. And that's where you need to be especially careful. They'll set up a website to look exactly like the login page you would expect to see if you thought you were logging into a legitimate website. Be cautious of email offers that seem too good to be true, like the Nigerian Prince email scam, offering you a significant percentage of a large money transfer in exchange for an upfront advance fee to initiate the transfer. And yes, this strategy is still making money off of victims. And be cautious of emails with attachments, unless you know who the sender is, since the attachment can have malware attached to it and infect your computer once it's opened or downloaded. Always make sure to keep your computer and web browsers up to date so that it can protect against the most current versions of malware. If you do see a suspicious email, it's best to delete it right away or report it if your company has a procedure for tracking spam email. Never forward the email. It just increases the chances of someone else getting the virus. Always look at the web address of any links before clicking on them by hovering your mouse over the link and looking at the address in the bottom left corner of the page. If it looks suspicious, it probably is. Only provide personal information to individuals or websites you trust. And keep your bullshit detector on. Don't let your guard down. That's how criminals eventually get through.